Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing today? My name is JT, and welcome back to another episode of the Gio JT Podcast. This is the final one we're filming today. I'm kind of tired,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna push through.
You got this.
Gio, what have you thought about the two films we've talked about today?
I thought the first one was pretty interesting. I thought the second was just interesting.
Well, this one I hope will be super interesting because we're talking about the Jungle Book. But before we do that, there's one thing we need to do, right, Gio?
Yes. Oh, I know what you mean. Opera. All right, now we can get started.
Cue that theme music. Gio JT Podcast under 30 minutes. So yeah, we're back. Dude, I'm so tired, but I'll push through. So today's episode, as I said, Gio, you do not reveal yourself. It's too blurry for you to be seen.
I know. I just pulled it off my face a little bit because my eyes hurt.
Okay. We're talking about The Jungle Book. Another film based off a book. Third in a row. Third. So, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get more angry at this as we get through. But people, think critically. These films aren't original. They're based off books. This one's based off The Jungle Book. It's literally called The Jungle Book. The Jungle Book. It's based off a book by Rudyard Kipling, which we'll talk about.
Oh, I never. Huh.
So yes.
Never really put that together. Oh.
Wait, you never put together that it was based off a book?
No. No.
It's actually based off two books. So the guy who wrote this book, Rudyard Kipling, wrote these books of the same name. And so I'm going to need to talk a little bit about Rudyard Kipling a little. So he was a British white boy who grew up in India, the jungles of India. I don't know where exactly, but he did. And so a lot of these stories are really good. I recommend. I haven't read this, but I know certain passages. And these films, while you might think, hey, or the book at least, oh, is it racist? Like Peter Pan was, or like how Sword in the Stone book was? No, most of it, not all of it, because it's product of its time. But also, most of the book is an empathetic look of the Indian people, and. Now, half of the stories they're anthologies. So half the stories are about animals, the other half are about and then the other half are about Mowgli. So Mowgli, in some ways, is autobiographical. When Rudyard Kipling was a boy, he had to leave the jungles. I don't know where. Don't ask. To go back. I said, don't ask.
Oh.
So he had to leave the jungles to go back to England. Shut up. So in some ways, Mowgli is kind of autobiographical in that sense, because I can understand with reading into it that, oh, hey, the boy who wants to stay in the jungle, similar to Rudyard Kipling. Similarities. Now, that doesn't mean everything's perfect, but there are similarities. But also, this film, we'll talk about the story in a second. Well, let's talk about, let's see, what should I talk about first? I guess we'll talk about the story. So, originally, our good guy, Bill Pete, was supposed to adapt this. But he didn't. He is not credited. He didn't work on the final product. So, production was well underway when Sword in the Stone was worked. Well, the story-wise, because production I think started in 1963, so around the same time Sword in the Stone came out. Well, as we talked about last episode, Sword in the Stone bombed pretty bad, and a lot of it came down to people thought the story was not that great. Well, Bill Pete, he was the sole writer. He was kind of the one blamed, and he thought no, they just didn't understand it. I don't think he said that, but in the middle of the development of this, Walt was talking with him. It's like, well, they were in some sort of argument, and Walt said, well, if you want to see good entertainment, go watch Mary Poppins, which had just came out, around the same time, and that one obviously is a classic.
Right.
So Bill Pete left the company and went on to write children's stories, but not before he wrote his own draft. Which was very dark. The Jungle Books are not joyful books. They are dark and nuanced, and they are about death and tragedies. Like, yeah, they're dark. Walt seeing this and realizing, I'm gonna pull a We're the Great, and Walt was like, you know what? You know what the story needs? It doesn't need to be dark and meditated. It doesn't need a straightforward narrative. It doesn't even need character arcs. It just needs to be gay. So Walt Disney was like, we're gonna make this dark militant. Walt Disney said, you know what? We're going to instead take this really dark book and turn it into a fun film fit for the family. So everyone who's read the book and actually seen the film knows what I'm about to say. The Jungle Book film and the Jungle Book book have only little things in common, and whatever they do have in common seems coincidental because Walt Disney didn't go start his story based off the book, but started off of Bill Pete's storyboards. Yes.
You said it was like gay or something?
Happy.
Ah, okay, that gay. I was so confused. I was like, how is the Jungle Book
There's a song
gay?
called from the film I Adore called The Producers, where it's like, keep it gay, and it's about, hey, instead of having a dark show, let's have a joyful show, and the funness that is. Anyway, are you okay with that? In the final cut?
Yeah, no, I'm okay. I was just confused. I was like, how is the Jungle Book gay? And then you were like, oh, the gay,
there's other ways, but I won't talk about that.
Right. You were like the happy meaning, and I was like, oh, okay.
The prehistoric meaning.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, I was making a reference to We Are the Greats videos. He throughout the video was like he kept playing clips of that song, which I adore. Anyway, so yes, Walt Disney didn't use the original book as a starting point, but Bill Pete's storyboards. Now we can see a problem, right? When your film is called The Jungle Book and based off The Jungle Book, well, you would assume it's based off the book. No, but we're gonna make it based off the storyboards of Bill Pete. Reference to any of you John Mulaney fans out there. It's a comedian. He's very funny. So yeah, Walt had a big hand in this because after Sword in the Stone flop, he was like, you know what? I'm gonna take I'm gonna be, because he kind of, remember how I talked about Walt was a bit more laid off, focusing on the live action stuff and the parks and stuff. Well, now for the first time in a while, Walt's kind of took a more of a direct approach in these, and after seeing what Bill Pete was like, it's like, nope, we're gonna make it happy. Bill Pete not liking that, it was like, I'm out. So yeah, let's see, what should we talk about? Oh, let's talk about the cast. So, Gio, do you know what stunt casting is?
Stunt casting?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've heard the term before.
I might have used it, but you don't?
Well, sounds familiar, though.
Imagine you had a Dwayne The Rock Johnson type character in mind, and you cast Dwayne The Rock Johnson. That's what
Makes
stunt
sense.
casting is. Basically, you have a
Huh.
character in mind, and you can only and you're looking for a certain type of person, and you get that person. That's stunt casting.
Got you.
So this film has a lot of that. Walt Disney was like, you know what? Let's get a bunch of different. So this is a lot of people say Aladdin is the first Disney film that they did stunt casting with, but haha, the Jungle Book was actually, because this film has Phil Harris, Sebastian Coble, Louis Primus, George Sanders, and Sterling Holloway. Oh brother, I didn't even talk about the voices last time. I did talk about the voice actors last time. Dig it. I should talk. I'll talk about it this episode. We'll talk about Mowgli. Remind me to talk about Mowgli before we finish this episode, okay?
Talk about Mowgli.
Later. So yes. Now, you remember Sterling Holloway? I think I've mentioned him before. He's the one. He plays
Yeah.
Kaa in this film. He also has played the Cheshire Cat,
Oh,
and other characters we've talked about. The Stork and Dumbo, and will play Winnie the Pooh. Well, actually, technically, around this film's time release, he's already been playing Winnie the Pooh, but we'll talk about that in a couple of episodes. Don't you worry.
wait. So the guy who played the Cheshire Cat is Winnie the Pooh?
Yep, it's the same voice.
Nice.
Same voice. It's not much different.
Now that I think about it,
They are.
wow.
It,
I didn't
it's
even think
literally.
about how similar they sounded.
And so Sebastian Cobo, who returned from playing the adopted dad in Sword and Stone, he's back playing Bagheera. Louis Prima plays Louis, King of the Apes or Monkeys, who is an original character, who's an OC of this film. George Sanders plays Kaa, and then Phil Harris plays Baloo. Now, Baloo of the book is an old wise bear, a bear that gives out lessons to the cubs. This Baloo cracks jokes and is a comedian. I'm not complaining. I'm just stating out the differences. So you can see where, or Bagheera in the book is Bagheera of the book is Mowgli's fiercest supporter, turns into a grouchy guy who just is trying to get this cub to the man village.
Doesn't Baloo die in the Jungle Book?
Disney fake out death. Oh, I need to make an alarm for that. No. First instance. Well, is this the first instance? Hold on. I need to think. Is this the first instance of Disney fake out death?
Wait, so
No. Blade and the Tramp is the first instance of a Disney fake out death, I would say.
So he is alive?
Yeah, Baloo's alive. Baloo didn't die. This is, I think, the second instance of it.
That explains why he was in Tailspin then.
That's awesome. That's a deep cut, I would say. Most people don't know what Tailspin is. I know what Tailspin is, but
I love Tailspin.
I haven't watched it.
Bum, bum, bum,
Shut up.
Shut
up. But yeah. So yeah, Bagheera does a Disney fake out death, which I need to make an alarm for that. I have the alarms for so many things. Let's talk about the music, shall we? So once again, we had our good brothers, the Sherman Brothers, to come back and do great songs. Now they made, yeah, Gio?
No, then I was just pointing at him.
Now, remember, so this is probably their second most iconic film they did, obviously after Mary Poppins. They wrote all but one song in this film. What song do you think they didn't write?
I forgot like all the songs, so.
All right, hold on. Let me open this in a different tab. Give me a second. So I am on a different tab, so that way you can't see what the song titles are. Wait, is that not on here? Do they not have the song titles on here? What?
Nothing. I was just guessing for dramatic effect.
Okay, hold on. Let me look it up.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. Is that right?
Yes. Okay, so
Good
the
song.
songs in Jungle Book, the Disney film, uh are "Trust in Me," sang by Caw, the Colonel Happy March, which is the Elephants, the Bare Necessities, "I Want to Be Like You," Colonel Happy's March Reprise, "That's What Friends Are For," aka the Vulture song, um, and "My Home," which is what that little girl at the end sings, and then the Bare Necessities Reprise. What song do you think was written by not the Sherman Brothers?
My Home.
No, the Bare Necessities.
Really?
Yes, the
You
most.
think they made like a
No, no, no,
fun
no, no,
song
no,
like Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?
no. Yeah, they didn't write the Bare Necessities. So apparently,
Wow.
all the way back when it
Man.
was Bill Pete in charge, the Bare Necessities were written by this guy named Terry Gilkin. Um, and so, and it was weird because it's this joyful song, right? And this dark
Right.
movie. And so all the animators were like, "No, this song's great." So Walt kept it. So that's the only holdout from Pete's version, Bill Pete's version of the story. And so
Interesting.
all, so yeah, the Sherman Brothers didn't write the most iconic song, which is kind of funny. A movie,
Which is surprising too. Like,
yeah, surprising for people. Yeah, so yeah, and we'll talk about more about Terry next episode. Um, but yeah, let's see. We talked about the music, talked about the voice actors. Oh, hey, are you ready to talk about some animation?
not what I thought you were about to say, but I mean, I guess so. Yeah.
Well, there's a specific chase in this film, and I'm going to show it. Obviously, I've muted it, so hopefully Disney doesn't copyright us, but... Wait, hold on. Let me... Okay, so it's the end of I Want to Be Like You. So after Blue...
I wanna be like you.
Blue gets revealed.
Oh
Hold on, I'm going to unmute this. Oh! Now, I'm going to show you another thing.
Hold on, I have a question.
Yes.
I don't exactly remember. Why don't they like Baloo, and why do they want Mowgli?
Well, okay, so Louis Primus, or Louis, who we'll talk about in a minute, wants Mowgli for the fact that he is man and man can make fire, and Louis wants the power.
And why don't they like Baloo?
No, they're because Baloo's trying to take back Mowgli.
Oh, makes sense.
But let's talk about this other chase, right?
Oh, this is what's it called? Mr. Toad. Adventures of Ichabod and Mr.
What?
I was just saying what it was. Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
Yep. A watch. It's the same.
That was strangely familiar. Huh.
So, hey, do you remember when
Which one came
the
first?
Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad came out?
What year?
Yes.
No, I do not.
Make a guess.
64. 72.
It's prior. It's literally a year before Cinderella.
54. 58.
Back.
52.
Farther back.
50.
Farther back.
45.
A little ahead.
48.
A little ahead.
49.
Yes.
First try.
So, geez, my computer right now. This came out, or that originally animation was made in the late 1940s. They reused it. Yeah, this film has a lot of reused animation in it. And I just really wanted to point that out because I knew you would know the animation because, like, you saw it there.
I did. I was like, huh.
They like, yeah, because like they just changed out the paper for Mowgli.
Right.
And there's some shots of that chase where Mowgli's just floating, where Mowgli's like
Really?
floating in the air, like spinning super slowly.
Huh.
It's really funny to watch that because it's like
It's
that's not
almost
how
like he's
physics
going
works.
with a piece of paper, I guess you could say.
Oh my god. But now we need to talk about the monkey in the room. Louis. King Louis.
I see what you did there. Oh, not what I thought. I keep thinking you're going to say something about a certain person. Did you see my text?
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
But well, you remind me. Okay, this episode might be more than 30 minutes.
No, we're going to break it. No.
Hey, we had a good streak record. We had a good 15 episodes or 14 episodes.
Well,
Okay.
not exactly, because I do believe one of the episodes was like, it was either like 29:59 or like 30 minutes.
It was
exactly.
30. But anyway, it's fine. Anyway, but I think for the Jungle Book episode, we can have it longer. I think because there's
Okay.
a lot to talk about. And I don't want to
Sure.
under-talk about this. So I'm going to talk about Louis, then I'm going to talk about Mowgli, and then we'll talk about Walt. So, Louis, Louis the monkey, they originally wanted Louis Armstrong to voice him. But as you see in the final film, he is not voiced by Louis Armstrong. Or, he's
Right.
voiced by Louis Primus. Now, why is that? Well,
I know.
What do you talk?
I don't know the exact like details, like down to the very last thing, but it was like because they didn't want him playing Louis because they felt like it would have been racist because a black man playing an ape.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And I realized that the NAACPD would have been all over their butt if they cast Louis Armstrong to play a black man to play an ape, which we'll talk more about in the Tarzan episode. Don't you worry. Oh boy, that one's gonna be fun.
Okay.
So they got another trumpet player named Louis Primus. So yeah. Okay, let's talk about Mowgli. It's a whole mess, man. So before we talk about Mowgli, let's talk about Arthur. Remember Arthur? So Arthur, a kid, right, had 3 voice actors. So the director of this film was Wolfgang Reitherman. And what happened was the original actor they cast in Sword in the Stone to play Arthur, they cast him on the cusp of puberty. Well, because production of that film was pretty long, puberty happened, and that voice kind of became unreliable. So Wolfgang Reitherman got his sons, to finish doing the voice, making Arthur having the most voice actors out there. He has 3 voice actors, and none of them are singers. He doesn't even sing. When we get to the Renaissance, we'll talk about a voice actor for singing and a voice actor for speaking. But They were all just saying normal lines. It's crazy. And I've heard people like, well, why don't they just re-record it? They didn't have time. All of these films kind of went over their original release date, being pushed back. So the same thing happened for Mowgli. The original actor they got to play Mowgli, puberty hit him. So what happened with Peter Pan? They couldn't do it again. So Wolfgang Reitherman just got his son to record all of his lines. Now, luckily, it's just one of his sons, not it was just one person. But yeah. All right. Prepare your tears, man. My cheeks hurt so much. All right. We gotta talk about our guy Walt. So,
Here we go.
so we've been Walt Disney since the first episode, and well, unfortunately, a year before this film came out, he died, December 15th, 1966.
What did he die of? Like old age?
Lung cancer because he smoked. Don't smoke, kids. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um.
really dumb.
Shut up.
Smoking is dumb.
Yes, it's an emotional moment, okay? Don't
Okay.
we can't joke about this. But
I didn't. Okay, I'm just saying.
anyway, Walt Disney, who even though he was there's a lot of stuff wrong with him. The one thing we can all agree on is that he was a creative person. I mean, like if we look on Billy, imagine how many more films he could have made. But also, I think him dying when he did, and the end of the day, kind of was a good thing. Because we got a lot of better films without him.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite films are films he had nothing to do with. And but he was a pioneer in a lot in the animation industry. You know? And so a year before this film, and it's kind of poetic that this last film, this Jungle Book, was the last film he was ever part of. He was so hands-on with the production, you know? But what's also sad is he never saw the finished project. He only saw Swords and Stone, which was so it's kind of sad in one way that but what's also very interesting is there was a year and Wolfgang Reitherman was like, okay guys, after Walt's death, which was a shock to most people, he got everyone up and it was like, okay guys, we know Walt died, but we can't be like what happened to the Empire, what happened in England all those years ago, where they had destroyed monarchy, but as soon as that leader of that non-monarchy, whatever it's called, died, it went back to monarchy. We can't be like that. We have to keep moving forward. We have to keep doing what Walt would have wanted us to do. And we will see the impact of this death for the rest of the company. At least for the rest of the 20th century. 21st century, I should say. No, we're in the 21st century. 20th century. So yeah, let's see. Anything he on one of his last days before he died, he walked down the animation studio one more time, and Walt was not really a kind man. He was kind of stern in some ways, and he gave compliments, and which is something he never really did. And then in his office, which you've probably seen his office on cameras, photos before, but there's a piano in there, and only the Sherman Brothers could ever play on it. He only allowed the Sherman Brothers to ever play on it. Dude, I'm tearing up. All right. Well, do you want to call that end for this episode?
I mean, yeah.
Oh, wait! We didn't play our game! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Walt Disney Animated Feature Film. This is Walt Disney Animated Feature Film live action remake. Gio, does it?
No.
You're wrong. Anyways, we'll see you all next time. JT out.